Hello and a big warm welcome to you. This week I have a guest, Dr. Tom Richardson, who's a clinical psychologist researching debt and mental health issues.
Hello.
Hello. And we're talking about mindfulness this week. So it's really great to see you here, Dr. Tom, again. And could you tell us what is mindfulness?
So mindfulness is something that originally came from Buddhist meditation, and basically some psychologists saw how it was used and thought, well, this might be helpful for people with physical and mental health problems. So it's not used in a religious way now. It's basically using meditation type techniques to help people be more aware of what's going on in the here and now, sort of noticing it at the present moment in a non-judgmental way, and just observing. So, you know, if you're like me, or like most people, your mind often wanders to the future, or it wanders to the past. So it's about focusing more on the here and now, whether that's focusing on breathing, which you don't usually pay attention to, or the sounds you can hear, or the feel of the water on your body when you're having a shower, whatever it is. It's just about noticing that, and your mind will wander, and you just notice where your mind wanders to, and bring it back. So it is helpful to be more aware of your own thoughts, your own emotions, your own physical sensations, which usually you might kind of not even notice.
And what's that helpful for?
So research has shown it is helpful for kind of a range of mental health problems. It's really being used quite a lot in mental health services, in particular for people who are prone to depression. Research has shown it reduces the likelihood of people having a relapse. And the reason for that is that if you're more aware of sort of negative thinking patterns going around in your mind, then you're sort of better able to kind of stop them escalating and you becoming unwell. So it's used a lot for depression. It's also used for people who self-harm, people who might be quite emotionally unstable. Mindfulness is a big part of something called DBT, which is used. So that again sort of helps people be more aware of their emotions, their thoughts, also able to kind of step back from them so you don't get lost in them and carried away. Emotions can be in the driving seat, and mindfulness tries to help you step back from those emotions and those urges a little bit as well. So doing what we'd call urge surfing. So it's used with drug and alcohol problems as well. You know, so rather than just kind of acting on the urge to self-harm or drink, trying to notice that urge kind of come and go and be in a better position to actually kind of resist that urge and not self-harm or not reach for the bottle, for example.
I really like that visualisation about the surfing.
Yeah, it's kind of like urges go up and then they come down.
Yeah.
It's just about surfing the waves.
Yes. So in relation to emotional spending, might mindfulness be helpful?
So there's no research directly looking at this that I'm aware of. It is something I'm sort of researching at the moment in the current project. But I'd imagine it would be, you know, for the same reason that, as I said, mindfulness has been shown to be helpful for stuff like where there are kind of impulsive urges to do things which cause you problems, like drinking or like self-harming. So if you think that kind of drinking is a unhelpful way maybe to cope with difficult emotions, so is self-harming, so might be emotional spending, an impulsive way to cope with difficult emotions. So I do think it might be helpful again to do that kind of urge surfing, you know, feeling in a bad way emotionally, the kind of urge to spend goes up, and it's about kind of surfing that wave, as it were. And also, you know, being a bit more aware of the thoughts and emotions that might kind of come before a spending spree, for lack of a better word. So being a bit more aware of that and being able to kind of notice that.
Kind of like the trigger emotion?
Exactly, notice your kind of early warning signs.
Yeah.
Because the problem is, you know, we all do think, this is one of the reasons mindfulness was developed for depression, you know, we all do things on automatic pilot, where we don't really pay attention to what we're doing. So you must have had it, you know, where you're kind of walking somewhere and you walk the wrong way, don't even notice, or you're driving and you can't really remember the drive because it's such a common route. You're not really paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing happens for people who are prone to mental health problems and maybe impulsivity, is they don't really notice what's going on internally, emotions, thoughts. And if you're not aware, you're more likely to kind of act impulsively. So if you're able to be a bit more in touch with what's going on internally, then you're hopefully in a better position to notice the early warning signs and resist those urges.
It's almost like, be seeing like people opening their eyes to it and just sort of seeing their situation from a different perspective, and then that awareness enables them to maybe respond or deal with that in a more constructive way.
Yeah, so it's trying to respond to your thoughts and emotions in a different way and not be as guided from them, so being able to kind of step back a little bit from those urges and those thoughts. Step back from the
I always imagine myself breathing as I step back as well as you say that, rather than the anxious drive, if you like, just taking that step back and grounding, breathing for a moment.
Yeah, so that's how sort of it might be helpful. So I hope, I imagine it would be. This is something I'm researching, but I think it's very useful for mental health and wellbeing generally. It's quite a hot topic at the moment. It's being used in schools, and I use it personally as well a lot.
I like doing the mindfulness colouring books. I find
them
really, really helpful.
I haven't tried that yet, but
I've got a pocket-sized one that sits in my bag.
Okay, that's good.
My calm colouring.
Yeah,
and a small packet of coloured pens, and it really does help. If I just walk through the park and just sit for 5 minutes, and it sounds like I'm a big child, but I actually quite like spending time feeling like a child for a moment. And just then carry on my day a lot calmer.
Yeah, good stuff.
What can people do to find out more about mindfulness?
So there's lots of resources out there. If you look, there might be kind of local mindfulness groups that you can run. There's lots of stuff on YouTube, lots of exercises. If you just search for stuff like mindfulness of breath, that's kind of a classic one. And there's also lots of good books as well, which often comes with CDs. So there's lots of people from the University of Oxford who have done CDs and stuff as well. And there's some apps as well that you can get if you look for it. So there's lots of different resources out there. It's quite a hot topic at the moment. So I would just say give it a go and keep an open mind, because it's very different to what we usually do, and it does seem pretty weird at first.
Okay.
So it's not going to change everything straight away, but it's about practicing, and it's like, it sounds cheesy, but flexing a mindful muscle, to be sort of more aware over time. So it is a long-term sort of process. I just say give it a go, keep an open mind, and find what works for you, because some of the exercises you'll go, I don't know about that, and some of them you'll probably really quite like. So
am I right in saying as well, this isn't something you need to practice for long lengths at a time? You can literally, day by day, just...
Yeah, I do, if you can do kind of 5 or 10 minutes of an actual sit down, do a mindfulness exercise a day, that would be brilliant. Any more than that is kind of a bonus. And just in everyday life as well, just trying to do things a bit more mindfully. I've worked with people who have done stuff like washed up and really paid attention to what they're doing, or for me, if I go swimming, I mindfully swim. I actually notice what I'm doing rather than just kind of planning the day ahead in my mind. So we're just kind of getting out of your mind and into your body a little bit. Just not the whole time, or else you wouldn't get much done. But just making sure you take time to sort of connect with what's going on, kind of thoughts, emotions, etc. So you start with 5-10 minutes a day.
And how does that make you feel after? What's the payoff from that?
Well, it does just vary. I think a lot of people might assume that mindfulness is about relaxation, and actually it's not, because sometimes it is relaxing, and getting space from your thoughts gives you a sense of well-being, peace. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you might notice a physical pain or an emotion, or a difficult memory which you didn't really notice before, so it can be quite unpleasant. But
that then enables you to let that go?
Well, it's like, if if you notice these difficult things, they're less likely to, like I said, kind of get worse under the surface
Yeah.
without you even noticing. It's like a marathon runner realising they've got a dodgy ankle before they set off on the marathon. That's not a nice thing to notice,
No.
but it's going to prevent it getting a lot worse. And it's the same with negative thoughts, which might fuel depression. You know, if you don't notice them, they just kind of stew under the surface. And I'm imagining it's probably the same for kind of, you know, urges to spend, thoughts about spending. They might kind of be bubbling away without you notice until that urge suddenly just kind of too much and you go and spend, buy that, etc. So if you're able to notice that urge and then kind of notice, step back from it, comes in again, just notice it, step back from it, then it should help you in a better position to not respond as impulsively.
Yeah. Because when I relate to my spending before, I became conscious of what I'd spent after the bills come in. But now I'm conscious of my actions on getting through each day better and better, keeping the money in my purse, rather than before it was after I've done it. So now I'm able to recognise my feelings before and get my mindful colouring book out or do something that brings me back to the moment rather than getting carried away or, like you say, surfing.
It sounds like you're being mindful then, because you know impulsivity is not being mindful, and avoidance isn't being mindful because you're avoiding difficult situations.
Yes,
So mindfulness is turning towards what's going on in the present moment. Might be good, it might be bad, but it's still important to do both.
And for a lot of the times, it was actually a lot less scary than I initially thought.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And it was actually quite a relief to begin to face things get back in control.
If you spend years avoiding kind of facing up to difficult feelings, they become really scary, like monsters in your mind. But actually when you do turn towards them, they might not be as scary as you think. It's like if you were scared of dogs, thought they'd bite you, so you avoided every park for 5 years. You know, dogs are just going to become terrifying in your mind. It's only actually by facing a dog and going, oh, they're not all bad, that you realise, you know. So, that's why this relates to what I'm saying about noticing the good and bad is going to be helpful.
Thank you so much again.
You're welcome.
Very generous and a relief to hear. And I'm definitely going to be even more consciously aware of practicing mindfulness. And I really hope you'll join us in that too. Thank you for listening. Thank you.